Hello, this is Mrs. Ward, and I'm going to go over the 4.5 graphing sine and cosine review worksheet for the quiz. Numbers 1 and 2, they ask you to identify your A, your B, your C, and your D. So just a quick reminder, the formula that you learned was D plus or minus A, your trig function, whatever that happens to be, sine or cosine, bx minus c. So when I'm going to do this, the a is the number that's right in front of the trig function, so in this case that is 2. The b is the number that's in front of the x, which is 3. The c is whatever I'm adding or subtracting inside the parenthesis, but remember, because of this minus sign, it's going to be opposite of what I see here, so this will be a negative pi. And then d is whatever I'm adding or subtracting on the outside, so in this case that will be a negative 1. Number 2, the d is the first number I see that's outside here, so that's 4. Remember, it doesn't matter if the d is in the front or the back, it's whatever's outside away from the trig function. My a, nothing is written, so that's understood to be 1. My b, nothing is written, that's understood to be 1. And then c, since I'm already subtracting, my c will be a positive pi over 2. Okay, the next one's taking us back to Algebra 2, where we remember how to write the translation. So the parent function is sine of x, and then I want to find out what these two changes are. So I have two changes. This first one is a 2. It's outside, which means it's going to be a vertical change, and this is going to be a vertical shift up 2 units. Then this negative sign, what it's going to do is it's going to take a function that's up here, and it's going to put it down here. So it's going to reflect over the x-axis. Okay, number 4, remember we told you to change this to cosine. So when I do number 4, the parent, I'm going to rewrite this, and instead of writing x over 2, I might write 1/2 x, then plus pi over 3. That way I can clearly see that my b is 1/2. I could find my new period if I wanted, 2 pi divided by 1/2, and I get 4 pi because I take 2 pi over 1, multiplied by the reciprocal, and I get 4 pi. Since it's inside, I know it's a horizontal change. Since I'm multiplying, it's going to be either a horizontal compression or a horizontal stretch. Remember, horizontal is opposite of what you think, so the factor is going to be 2. Since that's larger than 1, it's going to be a horizontal stretch, and the factor is a factor of 2. Now, what's tricky about this, in Algebra 2, we never did a change within a change. So in order to find how far this pi over 3 is going to move me to the left or the right, to find out what that is, I'm going to do the c over b, which will tell me my horizontal shift. Remember, in this case, my c is a negative pi over 3 because it's what I'm subtracting. So that means I'm going to move to the left. And now I'm going to find out how far to the left I'm going to go, divided by b. So when I do this, I'm going to end up multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to go to the left, negative 2 pi over 3. Remember, horizontal changes are opposite of what you see. Next, number 5 and 6, we're going to graph. So I'm going to identify a is equal to negative 2, b is equal to that 1/4. C, I'm not adding or subtracting anything inside this parenthesis, so that's understood to be 0. And then my d is whatever's outside, so in this case, that's a positive 1. Now, this is a little bit different than the white paper that we had before, but I'm just going to follow the steps. It first wants the amplitude. The amplitude is the absolute value of that a, so in this case, my amplitude is 2. The period is going to be 2 pi divided by my b, which is 1/4. So when I do that, I'm going to have 2 pi over 1 times the reciprocal, and I get a period of 8 pi. Now, it doesn't ask me to up there, but I'm going to find my step because I'm going to need that. So I'm going to take 8 pi and divide it by 4, and each step I'm going to go up by 2 pi. Horizontal shift is my start, which is that c over b. So to find my horizontal shift, which is also my start, I'm going to take that x over 4 and set equal to 0. And when I do that, x is equal to 0. So my horizontal shift is 0, which means I'm also going to start at 0. I'm going to fill this in while I'm here. I'm going up by 2 pi. So 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, and 8 pi. Last thing it wants is a vertical shift, which is my D, so that's going to be 1. This is a sine graph, so my pattern for sine is 0, 1, 0, negative 1, 0. Next column, I'm going to multiply by A, which is negative 2. Now, I know the amplitude is 2, but my A is still negative 2. That negative sign is going to reflect it over the x-axis, so I kind of need to put that in this problem. So when I multiply by negative 2, this is what I get. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add D, which is 1. And those are the numbers I'm graphing. Just a reminder, we are graphing the first column. We are graphing the last column. The columns in between just got us to where we need to be. So I have to change this graph paper because I'm going to put a point here and a point here, a point here and a point here, and then I wouldn't see anything. So what I'm going to do is make each one of these, we said a great general rule of thumb is make each one of them your period, which is going to be 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, and then 8 pi. So now I'm going to plot those points. So I'm plotting these points 0, 1, 2 pi negative 1, 4 pi 1, and 6 pi 3. And I have this start of the curve that goes like this. And then I'm going to continue. I notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. I like to do my midlines first. Well, no, that's actually not right. It goes up here, and then it goes down here. So that would be my graph. Ignore that one dot that I do. Okay, moving on to the next one. I'm going to identify my A, my B, my C, and my D. So my A in this case is 3. My B is 1. My C is negative pi over 2. And my D, I'm not adding or subtracting anything, so it's understood to be 0. My amplitude is the absolute value of A, so my amplitude is going to be 3. My period is 2 pi divided by my B, which is 1, so that's going to be 2 pi. While I'm here, I'm going to find out that my step is 2 pi divided by 4, which is going to be pi over 2. To find my horizontal shift, remember my horizontal shift is the same thing as my start. I am going to take x plus pi over 2, set that equal to 0, and I'm going to get negative pi over 2. Negative pi over 2 is where I'm starting. My vertical shift is my d, which in this case is going to be 0. I said my step was pi over 2, so I'm going to add pi over 2. So this will be 0, pi over 2, pi, and then 3 pi over 2. This is this cosine curve, so my pattern is 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. Multiplying by my A, which is 3, and adding my D, which is 0. And now I'm going to plot the first column and the last column. So I don't, and no need to change my graph. It's perfect. So I'm going to do negative pi over 3, 2, 3, and then 0, 0, pi over 2, negative 3, pi is 0, and then 3 pi over 2 is 3. So here's the start of my curve. And then I can see in between my maximums, let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no, so too big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll have another minimum. And then in between my midline points is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 4. And then my graph will go like this. And then come back down and go like this. And that is a graph of my cosine curve. The next one, it wants me to write the equation. So I'm going to remember to find my midline. I want the point that goes halfway through. The best way to do that is to take your max, which in this case is 0, and add your min, which in this case is negative 4, and divide that by 2. So when I do that, I'm going to have negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. That is my midline, which is the same thing as my D. It's a good idea to sketch that midline. So there's my midline. The amplitude is the difference between my midline and either the max or the min. So we learn to take the max and subtract the midline, and I get 2. So my amplitude is 2, and that does make sense. It's 1, 2 units to the top or 1, 2 units to the bottom. So that is my amplitude. My period is how long it takes me to repeat one curve. So if I start here, like I'm going to start at a place where it crosses the midline. That's the way I like to do it. And I'm going to go up, down, and then hit my midline again. And the distance it took me is from 0 to pi. Usually to do that, we take the end minus the start. So in this case, I'm going to take pi minus 0, and I'm going to get pi, and that is my period. To find my b, I'm going to take 2 pi and divide it by the period that I just found, which is pi, and I'm going to get 2. To find my c, I'm going to find the x value where it first crosses the midline, which is 0, and I'm going to multiply it by my, which in this case is 2, and I'm going to get 0. And then my final equation, I'm going to put all these together. So I'm going to say y is equal to -2 plus 2 sine. B is 1. Oh, no, sorry, B is 2. 2x and then minus 0, so I don't have to write that. And that is my final equation. I hope this helps, and we will see you in class.